The orcs of Middle-earth are usually seen as simple, mindless soldiers that only care for their Dark Lord, but it's exactly that which makes Shadow of War even more unique. Shadow of Mordor may have given each individual orc a personality, but Shadow of War gave them a culture and beliefs that completely changed the way at least I look at orcs. Hello Internet! Welcome to Orc Theory, the only show on the internet that's proud to be a chew toy. But for Spite, you know Spite, right? The Cerberus VTuber I've been watching way too much while working on videos? Anyway, you all saw the title. This video is about the culture of each tribe. While how each tribe affects a region video tackles the design aspects of each fort, I was asked to do a video breaking down the culture of each tribe in full. And I will note, I am drifting into speculation and including my own thoughts and opinions on some of the tribes because the descriptions they're given are very vague at times. I will do my best to preface when I'm drifting into my own headcanon, so without further ado, let's get into it! I'm gonna start with the Warmonger tribe, which has grown on me quite a lot in the almost year since I released the Regional Changes video. The Warmonger tribe believes that battle and conflict are the only place they deserve to be. It's the only thing they truly care about. Being in the fray of a siege or meeting an enemy army is what gives them the most joy. Unlike some of our later tribes, the Warmongers don't care for the gore or bloodbath. They care for the battle itself. Warmongers believe that time not spent training or engaging is, well, pretty well wasted. The Warmongers are treated as basic and straight to the point by the other tribes, but they can't deny that the Warmongers do get the job done. To get some extra lore speculation, I imagine the Warmongers would be made up mainly of larger, stronger orcs. I can see the Gundabad orcs especially loving this tribe. Perhaps it was even started by a host of Gundabad orcs, considering their monument does somewhat look like the orcs from Mount Gundabad. My last addition, whether canon or not, is I think it would be interesting if the Warmongers had more respect for humans than the other tribes. I very much doubt it's the type of respect we would usually think of, rather something more akin to Gondorians giving them a worthy challenge and respecting their effort. They would also respect that they are someone else for them to fight beyond the other orcs, cause I'd imagine they'd get bored if it was just other orcs. They want variety in the types of battles they fight. The next tribe we're going to look at is the simplest of them, the Feral tribe. The Feral tribe respect the ferocity and might of Mordor's beasts, seeing them as a perfect example of what orcs should fight like. I'm assuming a little here, but I'm guessing they would only allow ranged combat if they saw themselves as the hunters, and would engage ranged foes like a cornered beast. It makes sense to me that a tribe who respects and emulates beasts would fight like one. We even see this with their tribe weapon, the Feral Claws. Orcs of the Feral tribe make savage attacks with modified gauntlets that feature the fangs of what I'm going to guess are Caragors. They'll even bite Talion in one of their Feral Claws kill animations, so I guess they're taking acting like animals to the next level. Another thing I'll speculate on is that the Feral tribe likely doesn't get along well with the Machine or Mystic tribes. The Machine tribe should be evident why. The Machine tribe destroys nature wherever they go, polluting the skies and burning the forests for fuel. I add the Mystic tribe because nothing seems more opposite to nature than magical tampering. Invoking dark magic is usually seen as abhorrent in most fantasy settings, so I'm just guessing with that one. A last concrete thing to the Feral tribe is that they are known to snarl, growl, and even bark during combat, which gives them a more menacing feeling than what they had before, but I'm not so certain how intimidating it is against, other orcs. The other orcs are probably just like, what's wrong with him? He's got rabies! Our next tribe is the Marauder tribe. The Marauder tribe are greedy to a fault, gold and silver, coins and bars, glinting swords, and gleaming shields. These are just some of the things the Marauder tribe holds in high regard. The Marauder tribe pillage and raid, but unlike the Warmongers, the Marauders don't care about the warring and battles, but the shinies and gold that await them when they are triumphant, which they most certainly believe they always will be. The Marauder tribe values gold above all else. Nothing is important except riches, which Honestly, same, brother. Some of the other tribes believe that the Marauders aren't fearsome because of their love of wealth, but I think their fort is proof enough that it doesn't matter how much judgment is thrown their way, they definitely get results. For a little speculation, I mentioned in the region video that it's possible that the first Marauders were warmongers who found they loved wealth more than war, and I still love this over a year, well, almost over a year later. The warmongers are so effective at war that I can definitely see the Marauders being fascinated by the way they steamroll their enemies. Of course, the Marauders don't care about winning, they care about the wealth they gain from winning. I can see the Marauders and warmongers either respecting each other's abilities or disliking each other for opposite reasons. The last interesting thing I'll guess about is that the Marauders likely don't care who they work for, as long as they're getting paid. I can see them working for the Outlaws or Machine Tribes, so long as they're offered adequate compensation. In fact, I could see the Marauders straight up not caring who they fight for as long as they do get paid. I would have loved to see a concept like this actually play out, because like I've said many times, the orcs aren't seemingly pure evil, and Tolkien kind of made it seem like they never were. They, like all sapient creatures, are able to choose for themselves, and some have proven themselves to be trustworthy when separated from Sauron. Kinda like a tribe we'll talk about later. Either way, the Marauder tribe is fascinating for many reasons. Some of them because of what they are, and others because what they could be in a willing writer's hands. Our next tribe is the industrial superpower, the Machine Tribe. The Machine Tribe prides themselves on innovation and expansion in Mordor. They believe themselves to be nearing an industrial revolution, an era of unparalleled power and technology. Shadow of War's appendices tell us that they get a lot of supply from the mines of Taman and Gren, which appears to be a mistake by Monolith. You see, Amon Angren first appeared in the Middle-earth role-playing game, then in the Lord of the Rings role-playing game, and then a few more things of varying Tolkien canonicity, but we're talking about a game that's already thrown being canon to the curb, so I don't really care. Shadow of War seems to be the only thing calling the mines Taman Angren, so I'm guessing they meant to call it Amon Angren and were just never corrected, since it really is a very small detail. I'm not sure if Amon Angren is a coal mine or a forging metals mine. Either seems likely, but I'm guessing it's coal, since the entry says they're fueled by the mines of Amon Angren. The Machine Tribe genuinely couldn't care less about nature. I'm pretty sure if Saruman's orcs that cut down Fanghorn were in a tribe, it would be the Machine Tribe. Saruman's whole operation honestly reeks of Machine Tribe, so I wouldn't be surprised if, in headcanon or Shadow of War continuity, they were actually what the Machine Tribe would become. The Machine Tribe are the ones who make most of Sauron's weapons and armor. They spend their days building and smithing. Some likely act as architects who design the forges and oversee the mines. The Machine Tribe may have lofty goals for the future of Mordor, but not so much for themselves. Each Machine Tribe orc only sees themselves as just another mechanism in the machine, just another small part that makes up the larger whole. To finish with more speculation, I continue that I'm sure the Machine Tribe isn't fond of the Feral Tribe, since the Ferals vibe with nature so much, and the Machine Tribe thinks that nature isn't enough, that industry is what will lead them forward. The next tribe are the second most widely feared by the other tribes, the Dark Tribe. Orcs of the Dark Tribe dedicate their whole lives to wicked incantations and serving the Dark Lord Sauron. Sauron is everything to the Dark Tribe, and if they existed when Morgoth was around, then I can only assume they had a hyper-loyalty to him as well. In fact, there's a pretty common misconception that I too fell for, and that's that the Dark Tribe's monument is Morgoth, and not Sauron. It was said pretty heavily by a lot of people around the time Shadow of War released, and while I'd find it very neat if it were true, it simply isn't. I even made a short about this back in 2023 where I said it was Morgoth, but I've since taken it down for obviously being, well, quite false. The Dark Tribe are masters of subterfuge and assassinations. No prizes for guessing that. Being the best of the best when it comes to spies and rats. The Dark Tribe is feared by the other tribes because of how close they are to Sauron himself, and also because of their foul dark magic. Orcs, funnily enough, aren't huge fans of magic, whether bright or dark. They find the Dark Tribe's ease of use of these forces rather off-putting, thinking it better to just not associate with them. But, of course, if there's an orc of annoyance on the loose and no one seems to be able to do anything, the Dark Tribe are called in to deal with them. Captains, war chiefs, and overlords have all fallen victim to a Dark Tribe assassin's dagger, and many more surely will. Their reputation is certainly fascinating, and I'd be willing to bet the Dark Tribe is also pretty loyal to the Nazgul. They honestly seem like a perfect fit. I also imagine the Dark Tribe probably doesn't really like the Outlaw Tribe because of how aloof and free-willed they are. The Dark Tribe is a Sauron simp meeting, so of course orcs who think they should just get rid of Sauron, the Nazgul, and any other who would rule over them, would get on their nerves. I can already see them throwing hands and shade over arguments about Sauron. I feel I don't have too much speculation to say because the Dark Tribe are actually very concise and very well explained. They truly are the Sauron cultists, and that culture is basically self-explanatory. The Magic and Odd Mystic Tribe is next. The Mystic Tribe is the most mysterious of the tribes, and one of the hardest to really get a read on. The Mystic Tribe keep mostly to themselves, and the other tribes don't really seem to have an opinion on them. Likely because they don't know much about them, just like us. I do find it really interesting that Shadow of War's appendices mention the possibility that they use magic related to the Nameless Things, one of the most mysterious and weird things in Tolkien's Legendarium. The Nameless Things are monsters that kind of appear, like the thing outside the Mines of Moria, but we really don't know much about them. I'm pretty sure Nerd of the Rings has a video about that, so if you're curious, I'd go have a look over there, because I definitely am not the one to talk about it. Either way, the Mystic Tribe are known far and wide for their use of ancient spells and rituals. If the Dark Tribe use Sauron's own magic, then the Mystic Tribe use the deep magics, the ones more ancient than the Maiar Dark Lord. I imagine the Mystics likely have a very sect-like culture, as in the Mystic Tribe all follow a similar doctrine, but use different spells and rituals to pull from different places or entities. I kinda see them as Cthulhu cultists. Like, they serve and follow Sauron, but their true loyalties lie in their eldritch old gods, the Nameless Things, and should they ever appear, their loyalty to Sauron would be forfeit for their great Cthulhu monster. We're gonna get a little creepy now with the Terror Tribe. The Terror Tribe can be summed up as masochistic sadists. Their culture is based around pain and agony. To start with speculation, I'm guessing the Terror Tribe would promote based on how much pain an orc can take, and also deal. How long they can keep a victim living while still torturing them, or being tortured themselves. I also imagine this tribe was either started by the Tower, or in honor of the Tower. These orcs likely would be Sauron's most elite at information extraction, probably being the ones that finally got Gollum to reveal the Lion's Shire and Baggins. The Terror Tribe are the most feared by the other tribes for, well, obvious reasons. The Terror Tribe really don't have much to them beyond their love of the gruesome, however, so their section here is pretty short. The Slaughter Tribe are similarly simple to the Terror Tribe, but the Slaughter Tribe are only in it for the gore. The Slaughter Tribe like killing, like a lot. They're also cannibals, so that's lovely. The Slaughter Tribe really do just like killing. Their culture isn't really culture as it's written, but I guess I can try to breathe some life into them. My take here is that the Slaughter Tribe are mostly deranged orcs. Even if we don't actively see this in gameplay, though, you know, kind of going off the script here, I can think of a lot of different deranges that actually fit with this, like the ones, well, like the Blood Axe, and the other ones themed around blood that, you know, go, the blood bleeds blood, it bleeds, it bleeds blood! And then there's also the meat orcs. So, I know there's a couple more that fit. There's like the one where it's like, hack and hack and hack and cut and hack. I know there's one, or no, it's the chop, 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 chop. So, I definitely think that, kind of, again, I'm going off script here, I'm just yapping at this point. Those do kind of lend credence to that, I think, and I think that would make sense. Essentially, the truly psychopathic orcs are kicked out or ostracized from the other tribes. While I'd like to talk about the possibility of orc serial killers, I don't think this is exactly the place for it, since that's getting really speculatory. Like, really grasping at straws, so I'm going to keep that lodged in the back of my head for the future, where I will explain it in a little more detail, because of course, orc culture doesn't really, in general, lend itself to this idea of killing being a bad thing, but I'll at some point explain what I mean by serial killers, because it has some things that I don't know how to articulate here while I'm going off script. My belief here is that the deranged orcs lack an understanding of anything but the love of blood, death, and gore, and have no place in the other tribes. Terror wouldn't take them. They don't specifically love masochism and aren't sadistic. They just like killing. They don't toy with it like a sadist would, or try to inflict the most pain like a sadist would. They just get it done and over with. They're the type of orc that makes a clean cut and that's the end of it. The warmongers wouldn't want them. They don't really like combat. They like killing. They wouldn't be there for war to war, army to army, wah, 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 long drawn out battle. They're there for that final attack. Feral, Machine, and Marauder would have absolutely no use for them, though maybe Feral, because they might see them as, like, rabid animals. Again, a lot of speculation there. Dark and Mystic would probably find them too brutal and short-sighted. They only really live to kill, cook, and collect trophies, something that some of the other tribes have. But the way the Slaughter Tribe does it is so non-discriminatory that the others would probably fear them as a liability. I doubt the other tribes would actually fear the Slaughter Tribe in an, oh no, not them, they're terrifying kind of way, but more as an, uh-oh, the crazies massacred half our troops again, and now we don't have the numbers we need type of way. They simply are so uncontrollable that no one else is safe around them. And that leads to them mostly sticking to themselves unless another tribe really needs the assistance or ferocious nut jobs. And with that, I've talked way too much about one of the more boring tribes just because I want to speculate about them. So you can definitely see how I come up with the wacky stuff I do sometimes. Our last tribe is the Outlaws, and unironically, I actually do have a lot to yap about them. They are by far among the most interesting tribes, simply out of the principle of what they are. And what they are, or more accurately what they believe, is that Mordor is for the orcs. Not Sauron, not the Witch King, not Talion, and not Celebrimbor. No one but the orcs should be in control, and it's this where I think Monolith completely misunderstood what they wrote. Because what's in the appendices does not line up with their gameplay. So many outlaw orcs yap about the Dark Flame, and Sauron will judge you, or in the name of the Dark Lord, but that goes entirely against what they believe. The outlaw tribe should be mocking Sauron and his lackeys. They should be yelling about being judged by the true rulers of Mordor, the orcs! The outlaw tribe also has this no real friends among the other tribes mentality. The Dark and Mystic surely hate them for obvious reasons, and the Machine Tribe would hate them on a philosophical level. To explain what I mean by that, the Machine Tribe all believe themselves to be a single cog in a greater war machine ruled by Sauron, whereas the Outlaws believe that each orc is an individual. The Machine Tribe fight and exist using industrial machinery and advanced tinkering, while the Outlaws just fight with cobbled-together armor, defenses, and everything else. They are a far cry from the perfectly crafted Machine Tribe steel, using bits of bone and wood in their armor, but what they lack in industry and advancement they make up for in numbers and free thinking. While some of the other tribes find them simple, they're anything but. If you think about it, they're the smartest orcs in Mordor. They want to fight for themselves and take control of the lands they live in, so they're no longer oppressed. I think they would likely gain some sympathy from the warmongers, since they value warriors and strength above anything, and since the outlaws have accomplished so much with so little, I think the warmongers would have some respect for them. The Feral, Terror, Slaughter, and Marauders likely wouldn't hate them, but probably would avoid them since they could be hostile due to them serving Sauron. The Marauders are somewhat questionable since, like I said in their segment, they love money more than anything. So maybe some Marauders would be on good terms with them. But I don't think the tribes as a whole would be. Honestly, there's just so much I can say about the Outlaws that is speculation, but fits more with the pre-established canon, that I may do a video just talking about what they mean for Middle-earth as a whole, and what ideas could be explored with them in the future, since I just love this idea of them. I didn't really like the Outlaws too much till I started writing this, and by the way, by the time this is coming out, I have a whole script ready about just the Outlaw tribe and what they mean for Middle-earth. That video isn't an if, it's a when, so keep an eye out for that. But I think I've given a very good idea of what their culture is, and I feel like if I continue, this will turn into an Outlaw Tribe video, so I'm just gonna end their part here. But hey, a lot of that's just a theory. An orc theory! Before the end of this video, I do have a Fortnite supporter creator code, so if you do like what I do, and you want to support me and you are grabbing any of the cool Star Wars stuff, including Darth Jar Jar, assuming you can get the million XP epic, go ahead and use code RegBallBlue to support me, or use anyone else's supporter creator code. It's really bad to leave your supporter creator code empty, so consider using someone's supporter creator code. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. So if you did enjoy, consider hitting the like button down below because it tells me that you liked the video. And if you like what I do, consider subscribing for more. With that, I will see you all next time!